So welcome back to Prime Testimony Channel. We are still continuing with our discussion on becoming one flesh. Auntie Mercy, let's go.
All right. So a while ago, we were talking about mutual respect. It is very important we respect each other, and that the fact that we observed some high standard courtesies during courtship. Let's not allow marriage, the formalization of that courtship relationship, override or overrule whatever courtesies we demonstrate or show to each other. And so last time, I think I mentioned here that people have usually said that the courtship is more enjoyable than marriage. But I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I believe that marriage can be enjoyable throughout life, depending on how you perceive it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have been talking about sexual relationships.
Yeah.
So to have very good sexual relationships throughout or most part of our married life, it is very important to take care of the body that God has given to us. Don't forget that we are talking about body oneness. So it is with this body that we can have sexual relations with our spouses. And so it behoves on all of us. If I say that, I don't mean just the woman or the man. It is mutual. You see, Agalatu, everything in marriage is mutual.
All right.
Yes, it is for both ways or both sides. So, man must be cautious of food and any other thing you take into the body.
Okay.
So that we do not destroy this earthly tent that God has blessed us with. We need to preserve it. We need to take very good care of it. So if you consume anything that will not give you the best of performance, even in the sexual relationship, it means you have to relook at it and make the necessary adjustments. That is very, very necessary. As much as possible, let's avoid late eating. Late eating is one thing that can also cause a lot of damage and a lot of harm to the body. So late eating, many people, dietitians have talked a lot about this. I'm not a dietitian, so I don't want to get there. But whatever they have told us, let us pay heed to it. The intake of fruits, vegetables, and then a lot of water. If you must take in fluid, let it be water. Water is life. Water is good. And so let's eschew all the other beverages that do not really add to our body and may rather end up giving us complications. Let's be wary of that.
Yeah.
Then, of course, our outlook too is needed. The way we appear, either at home or out of the home, wherever we are, the way we appear should be of importance to us because it should be appealing, to both sides.
Yeah.
That is also mutual.
Yeah, let me come in here. The way we appear, I'm looking specifically at home. Before you were taken to the altar, there was a way you used to, appear. You get married. Na wo beso na wo de ntumi bi asi okoko na enufu yi na gu pacha be ma bi so boxer short kitwe bi na chese wo de nam ho boxer shirt nimpo say it's been a long time, maybe it saw what if you can comment on that, because I believe that when you appear nice in modern parlance, they say when you appear sexy to your husband, it even gives him an appetite.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something to the married women and then the married men, especially the very young ones who have just married.
Yeah, so it's just not the husband the wife's appearance to the husband, it is mutual.
Yep.
So the husband's appearance also
Matters.
to the wife. So both ways it's workable. So the thing is that as much as possible, we need to look good.
Yeah.
As much as possible. You get up in the morning, let's try and do the needful, the brushing of our teeth, bathing, appropriately, and especially for the ladies, our hair. Our hair sometimes can cause a lot of commotion. And so we pay attention to all of these things matters. Not denying the inward beauty. Okay, so yes, the outward beauty is very necessary and needed, but we shouldn't compromise that or replace it with the inner beauty. So the two should complement each other. We are beautiful inside and we are beautiful outside, all together to the glory of God. So
Kasadaw. The romantic talk be a sawara and you couldn't kasa. Before this is a kasa de dibia. The fed of casa be wooden because of be feeling good. No be one.
God is good. It is well. Yes, so and sometimes we find our spouses not giving in to sexual relations. Okay. And I just brought in this here to let us all know that it is not always that the person is playing wicked on the other person. Okay, there may be some underpinning factors that may be preventing the one from receiving that gift of sexual relations. Do you know that spinal reflexes play a major role in sexual intercourse? Yes, spinal reflexes are responsible for erection, even pelvic movements, and also ejaculation in men. And for the woman, spinal reflexes are responsible for lubrication of the woman's vulva. And so look at it. If the spinal cord is compromised, what do you think? It means that in some cases, the man may not even have erection, not at all, let alone to talk about ejaculation. Okay, so let us not be quick to condemn evil spirits and demons, as being responsible for some of these sexual dysfunctions that we may experience one time or the other. Sometimes some of these things could be explained biologically, and so medical intervention can help to correct it. Now, the testis is also responsible for producing hormones, both for the male and the female. Female, we have the ovaries. Okay, so we all know that if the male is castrated, we all know what happens. We see this a lot in animals, right? So once you castrate an animal in your home, either a cat or a dog, something like that, we all see what happens. Sexual drive reduces drastically, and then over time is depressed or repressed altogether. So you see that animal not being as aggressive as the normal man will behave. And so the testis is responsible for that. Once the testis is compromised, and so sometimes it's not about the castration, but there could be some ailments that could affect the testis. We all know cancer of the testis, and sometimes probably some surgery that may have affected the testis. Some accident that may have affected the testis could all be accountable to this. The same thing happens to the woman. Uncle Ato, do you know that the woman can be castrated?
I have heard it, but I don't have any idea.
Right. And female castration is different from female circumcision.
Okay.
Okay. So God is wonderful. You see, when you think through all these things, it shows how great, how mastermind God is in doing all of these.
Yeah.
You see, the penis is the equivalent of the clitoris.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is tissue. The penis is full of tissues, you know.
And it's heavy like that.
Oh yes, they are just tissue and blood.
I see.
So it is tissue, and the same tissues responsible for the development of the penis is responsible for the clitoris.
All right.
And so the male circumcision has its equivalent in the clitoris circumcision, cutting off like we hear around. Yes, so the male castration will have to do with the testes. Now, female castration has to do with the ovaries.
Like removal of the ovaries?
Yes.
All right.
So once the ovaries are removed, that is the end of sexual drive in the female.
All right.
However, Uncle, just a moment.
Okay.
However, we know that in our part of the world, in Ghana, I don't know about elsewhere, but in Ghana, we don't have issues like that. But there can be ailments that can affect the ovaries.
Okay.
So we've heard of the ovarian cysts, we've heard cancer of the ovary, and so many other ailments. So things can happen that can affect the ovaries. And once that happens, the ovaries is responsible for the female hormone estrogen. Okay, so once anything happens affecting the ovaries, it means that the woman's libido, you know, a desire for sexual relationship is suppressed. And that's why some women will, some women will not give in, will just not give in to sexual, and the man will not understand. But medically, it has been proven that the ovaries may be responsible for that. And sometimes a simple medication or a simple surgery may be able to correct that.
All right. Which means that it is important for everybody to do comprehensive health screening at least once a year, so that if there's any hidden ailment anywhere, you will be able to know. When we were discussing, you talked about the fact that you need to brush your teeth constantly. There are some men, until they see the tooth or teeth removing to the ground, they will never visit the dentist. And I think at least once every 6 months, every man who calls himself a real man must visit the dentist, at least for a dental care. But my sister, from what we're discussing, don't you think that if the spouse believes that he or she has a problem, you should put it on the table to be discussed, so that the man or the woman would understand, depending upon whoever has the challenge? Because if I do not understand and you keep refusing me sex as husband, I will not also understand as a husband, you know.
Uncle, the spouse will also not know. May not know.
Also don't know, okay.
The spouse may not know. We heard of a story where this woman who got married at age 33 as a virgin was married. And then they got married and the marriage was not consummated. The man did all he could, you know, but the woman will forever resist this relation. And so it came to the counselor. And you know, counselor, when it comes to these things, there are different facets of professionals who can team together to solve a particular problem.
Okay.
So the counselor's job is a counselor should be knowledgeable in so many areas, including biological reasons for some of these things. Okay, so it was at the counselor's hall that they got the counselor, you know, the counselor's hypothesis led him to introduce them to a medical doctor to say that, can you do so and so test? You know, and it was done, and it was realized that the woman had ovarian cysts. Okay. And that was the reason why she was resisting sexual relations. And so it was medically corrected, and then they, up till now, happily married.
That's fine.
Yeah, so the spouse may not know, and that is why some of these things, that's why I said earlier that let us not be in a hurry to dump all the issues on demons and the devil. You know, sometimes some of the things we may not understand, let's seek help.
Okay.
Talk to a counselor can do referrals, you know, on and on and on until you are able to receive help. So please don't sit in corner and suffer. If you have any such issues, please, the counselor is your friend.
All right. My fellow pastors, from this discussion, you will agree with me that the work of a counselor or counselors are very, very important. Why don't you allow some budget lines from your church funds for the use of the training of the counselors in your church? Sometimes we put people forward as counselors to do premarital counseling, but the truth is that they've not been well trained, and some of them end up giving wrong information. They, instead of counseling, they rather go and advise and give some wrong information, and it breaks a lot of marriage. So I think we should look at the work of counselors very well and invest in their training and give them the necessary support. Elsewhere, counseling is a full profession. They're being paid for the work that they do. But over here, people easily assume that once you're a counselor, you must do it free. I think we must take a second look at that and then do all we can, because when you get the right counseling, as an American will say, you are good to go.
Right. I can't agree with you more. There are so many tests that a counselor can run based on the counselor's hypothesis to unearth the root cause of a problem. So many. It's just like the medical, you go to the hospital and they'll fall on the lab to run tests to be able to diagnose before they prescribe. So I'm saying this because of what you have just shared, that counseling is a profession, a noble profession. And so counseling is not advice, offering bits and pieces of advice based on the Bible that everybody can do. Anybody who is a Bible student can do that. But counseling is a profession that runs on, some we have to run some tests to be able to unearth a problem before diagnosis can be done. And so that is very, very critical to the counselor's job. So we are looking at things that can make people resist sexual relations, And so we've looked at a number, and what I want to add on is the age, and especially with the women, age is critical. Because as we grow older, I've told you the ovary is responsible for the production of the female hormones, okay? So we all know that once we are getting older, those things get suppressed, okay? So production of estrogen itself is suppressed, and that's why even women reach menopause. Okay, and we know that all these things can actually suppress the desires for sexual relations. Though we know that there are some women that also enjoy, in fact, sexual desires is heightened in some women during menopausal years.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then finally, let me add that conflict can also suppress the desire for sexual relations. Once we are fighting, we are backbiting, we are not arriving at compromise, and we are doing all sorts of negative things, showing each other, making faces to each other, and not respecting each other, and all the hula balloons around conflict. Once there is conflict in a relation, we are not talking well to each other, we are not observing courtesies and all of that. All these things will give birth to conflict. And if we have conflict in our home, sexual desire, at least between us, will be suppressed. And sometimes when these things are prolonged, it does not work well for our union. Before you could say Jack, the individuals are out there doing their own thing with other people. So let's be cautious of this. And Charlie, We are here today. In no time, we are out of here. And you see, your spouse, I always encourage spouses, couples, that please don't wrong your spouse intentionally. We can wrong each other, okay? But don't do that intentionally. Sometimes you can wrong people without the intent of it.
Yeah.
You don't mean it, but you could. But intentionally, don't sit down and put pen to paper and calculate the wrong you are going to do to your spouse. That one is not correct.
Excuse me.
It doesn't help. And in no time, we are here, and in no time, we are out of here. So let's treat each other well. Let's respect each other. And together, let's intend for our marriage relation to glorify God. I believe God will be happy with us and applaud us for the great job done. Thank you very much for your audience.
Thank you very much, sister. I am overwhelmed because the information is deep. So, like our sister said, we should not use sex to settle scores. It is only when you have medical issues. Of course, sometimes she made us understand that sometimes we may be having some medical, issues with our body we may not know. But in a situation where when there's a problem, sit down with your spouse and discuss it. Because when those conflicts are not there, I believe that's the time you enjoy sex the most. I'm not sure we are going to have sex in heaven. That one, I don't know. But if it's on this earth that we will have it, then I think we have to enjoy it to the maximum. But that will depend upon you, that will depend upon me, that will depend upon the woman, that will depend upon the man. So let us do our best. Remember, this has been a discussion on the body oneness, which is being discussed on the becoming one flesh. Thank you very much, Sister Mercy, and thank you very much, our audience. I hope together we have all learned. I have learned, and I believe you've also learned. So let's keep subscribing to this channel. Let's keep making comments. Let's keep liking the videos, and let's keep sharing the videos to all our friends, the various platforms, the women's fellowship platforms, the men's fellowship platforms, even to some extent some youth, because there are some of the videos that specifically addresses youth issues. And as for youth issues, I'm not going to talk about it. Very soon we are going to explode in that area, and we know we will all enjoy this together. This is Prime Testimony Channel. I'm your host, Ato Brentishan. Until we meet you in another video, we are saying bye bye. God bless you.